number 10, y'all. How y'all doing?
10. It's episode number 10 of the Surviving Vegan podcast.
These are milestones for us, y'all. We have made it to another milestone, and it's our 10th episode. Thanks to the team, thanks to the queen, thanks to myself. It is wonderful,
Thank y'all
man.
so much for tuning in. I've been seeing y'all on YouTube telling us that our graphics are getting better.
Thanks,
we fading in and fading out. So thank y'all so much. Of course, we have baby Prince here with us. Say hey, Prince. Hey, y'all.
Let me poke your lip out. Listen, I am Surviving Vegan _ Grizzly the King.
And I am at IAmSurvivingVegan on Instagram. Make sure you're following us and checking us out. But we're going to jump right on into podcast number 10. The question for today from one of our followers is, how do you forgive on your healing journey? How do you forgive those that have abused you? And that was an interesting topic. And there was actually a second question someone asked of how do you get over fear? And I want to talk about getting over fear to address the people that have hurt you. Giving over the fear of addressing, because that's something that I still deal with. So I can give you guys some the pointers on what's been working for me as I move to healing myself and, still having to deal with people who either haven't decided to heal themselves or haven't admitted to how they have contributed to my pain. So, our motto is you got to heal even if they ain't sorry. So
even if they ain't sorry,
if you're not getting an apology, right? Even if they're not sorry, you still have to do the work. Even if they're not sending you an apology, you still have to do the work. But how do you do that? I believe people have this false sense of reality where they think, I'm healing and people that hurt me shouldn't be able to trigger me anymore.
People that hurt me shouldn't be able to trigger me more.
Exactly. They think that, on this journey, I'm going to just get to a point where I can face somebody that has done me wrong and I won't feel anything. I'm not going to feel nothing. I'm going to be cold as ice. And that's not the truth.
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
That's not the reality of the
That's not how it works. We don't want to be void of feelings. We want, those feelings to arise because it helps us to say, oh, shoot, I'm around somebody that I need to be on guard.
To figure out what's holding you back, issues that still are there that just constantly need to be worked on. Are you going to be healing for the rest of your life?
The rest of your life.
So don't think that your healing process stops with just healing this one part or healing this one situation. You have to realize that every day is a healing journey.
Every day.
And trauma.
Every day.
Trauma comes to you from different angles. It's not always internal or family situations. It can be things that affect you that's not even about you.
Exactly. For example, scrolling on Instagram and seeing somebody being murdered or seeing somebody getting beat up or seeing a woman in a domestic violence relationship. That's trauma that you're absorbing, and it's indirect because it doesn't affect you.
Indirect trauma.
But you still, may have that gut-wrenching feeling like everybody is talking about Ahmaud Arbery, hopefully I'm saying his name right, who was shot and killed while he was jogging, and so many people are relating to that post. All the people that have seen that post and have an emotional connection, whether it's super real or it's not, maybe it's from afar, it still affected you in some type of way. So it creates a trauma within yourself. For myself, seeing things like that, it makes me fearful when you leave and go out. So we have to be aware of all the things that we're absorbing, because you might be home sometimes like, why am I paranoid? Yeah. Why am I this? Why am I that? It's because you're absorbing traumas day in and day out.
Yeah, man. And you absorb other people's trauma all the time. The closest ones to you, the farthest ones from you. You absorbing it.
You're an energy being. So it's very important that you keep your energy as balanced as possible. We, for the sake of our own sanity and because we are healing, we isolate ourselves.
Yes, we do.
So, I wouldn't say I have totally forgiven everybody that's ever done me wrong.
Correct.
But I've forgiven myself for allowing them to hurt me. So that, in essence, helps me to deal with the person, because I got to realize that everyone around me is traumatized. My mama and my daddy indirectly, unknowingly passed some trauma to me. And I have to be aware of that, and I have to be mindful of that. And, that stops me from blaming them. Correct. That stops me from saying, you should have did this, mama, you should have did this, daddy, XYZ. It helps me to put things in perspective. I'm not saying that they ain't wrong, but we got to put things into perspective. What about you?
And I mean, like, for me, it's like, it's a lot of trauma that I've dealt with, and the family know I've spoke about certain things and that I still deal with, and I don't believe that they have been discussed and worked out yet. But I have to still heal myself. So like she said, we're in isolation mode.
Yes.
And in the midst of isolating, that's only because we don't want our traumas to bleed into somebody else's life. Yeah. And we don't want nobody's trauma to bleed into our life. So we have to isolate to...
We keep contact to a minimum.
Yeah, just to get we're still working on ourselves. So that's how we've been effective in what we've been doing to isolate. It's not like, oh, nobody can come around. We don't want to talk to nobody. No, everything is just to a minimum. And you have to have boundaries. We've talked about boundaries before. You have to set healthy boundaries, and people have to respect your healthy boundaries. If they're not willing to respect, that's not a relationship that you need to be a part of. And that's just the reality of it. So
I would also like to add that you might have it in your mind to go talk to your grandma, your granddad, or your mom and dad, or your uncle, and tell them how they hurt you, and they're not going to be receptive to that. Some people are not. Yes, it's a perfect situation when the person is receptive and they're agreeing with you and they want to admit their faults. That's a green light.
Correct.
You know, that means you guys are ready to heal together. But when you approach somebody and they're not ready to do that, or they're like, what you talking about? Or they get mad or they get defensive, you know, by you just talking about your experience with them, you have to realize that's not your fault. And you are not responsible for how they react. You're only responsible for telling your truth. If they're not receptive to it, it's okay. They're not ready to heal. They're not ready to move on. And you have to be okay with that. I believe one way I've been able to be forgiving in a sense is because I understand that the people around me all the time are not ready to heal. For example, like I remember before, while I was like fresh in the journey, I had a whole conversation with my mom and my family, and they were not receptive at all. They just like, it was like whatever, and I was hurt for some months. But on this journey further along, I started to be the change that I wanted to see, and then it started to be a ripple effect.
Correct. And it's the same with my family. Like my family was more receptive to the transition that me and the Queen made, but that didn't totally help their healing process.
Yeah.
So we are very distant. We don't have a good love language. Let me say that. Our love language is very like subtle.
Are you talking about your family?
My family, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like that's something that's generational. That didn't start just now with myself and my brothers. It actually started before my mother. It started with her father, and it's probably stems back further than that.
Right.
And these are the traumas that have been passed down through our particular lineage and our generations that we still deal with today. And like we say, for us to be healthy, we had to realize the unhealthy things that were around us.
Yeah, and that's why when I do
ourselves. Go ahead.
No, when I do detoxes and I work with students or clients, they come in just expecting me to be like, okay, do this detox and let's shed this waste. But I'm like, no, we got to look at the spirit and the mind as well, because the unhealthy environments feed you. Mm-hmm. You can say you could be around somebody and they'll affect you, but that's not the way we work.
That's the fuel. That is the true fuel. Everybody's things around you, people around you, it's the fuel of you. That's why when sometimes you get around certain people, they give you energy. You might say they give you life. You feel better because this, that, and the third. It's the opposite way as well. It could beat you down. It could continuously put trauma on you, put bad, issues in your life that you don't even really recognize, but it's happening.
Mm-hmm. You got to make note of the toxicity. So I would say, on your journey of forgiveness, just look at the toxicity. Don't put the toxicity on somebody. Just look at the lineage of it.
When you say don't put it on somebody, what do you mean?
So, for example, I'm going to use my own family. We have an issue where we can be around each other, we can show love, but when it comes to critical thinking, we kind of like don't do it, right? So I would always put the blame on my mom, like, why didn't you sit me down? Why didn't you do this? Why doesn't our family have times where we're not just joking and playing, we really being constructive and talking about our issues? We don't have that. So I used to blame them, right? So instead of me putting the blame on them, I had to switch from that kind of victim mindset. And like you just said, look at the trauma in the family. All right, that's kind of like a known thing. What my parents talk about, my grandma talk about. You don't talk about what happened in your household. That's been going on from her mom to her mom, and then her mom. And if I go further back, that might have stemmed from slavery. Well, we can't tell each other what's going on because we don't want to get sold. So I had to realize that in order to forgive. In essence, I didn't put the blame on them. I just looked at how the trauma was passed down.
And that wasn't easy.
No.
I think when we first came into the knowledge and the understanding of the traumas that did affect us, we were truly upset with our parents, you know what I'm saying?
And it's okay. You're going to go through those feelings. You're going to go through those emotions.
Yeah, it was a necessary emotion to go through. But it ultimately brought us to the point of realizing that we had to heal ourselves. If our parents just said, oh, okay, well, we're going to heal and everything gonna be all right, maybe we wouldn't have got to the point where we understood that you still have to constantly heal even if they're not sorry. So that was our example. They weren't sorry. They didn't understand it. They weren't able to heal themselves. So we had to do the necessary things for ourselves to get to a place where we were comfortable. We were willing to heal. And that was our journey, you know, and we still have a long journey to go.
Yes, we're healing not just for ourselves, but for our children, our family, and for our personal lives to keep manifesting and building the foundation.
You know, me personally, my healing journey is number one for myself.
Yeah.
You can't expect to heal your children. You can't expect to heal your mother. You can't expect to heal your father, any relatives, any friends, if you cannot heal yourself. Go ahead.
You can operate in such a place of peace, and that's why I was saying, if they see you, they will become inspired.
Correct. So that's what it's about. They have to see this going on. So, you know, from parent to parents out there, we've probably given a lot of trauma to our children because it's been passed to us. In my transparency, I know that I had an attitude problem, or I have more of an aggressive streak that I had to deal with when I was growing up. So I still hold on to that. So what I had to do now is say, okay, I can't change this overnight. It's not going to change overnight. So what do I have to do to get to a point where I can say my children can be happy with who I am? So what that meant for me was, the voice in my head told me, you need to heal yourself first. So you can't heal your children if you don't fix you. So that's what replays in my mind. So in the midst of healing me, I'm going to heal them. It's inevitable. And that's where you got to focus at. You know, don't beat yourself down about it. Don't tear yourself up, because sometimes we didn't have control over a lot of things that we went through.
And you absorbed.
And you absorbed it. You are energy, once again. So now you're at the point where you do have to be held accountable, because you know and you realize these negative things, these bad traits that you might have, the issues that might have changed your life. And
in the way you view your reality.
Correct.
A lot of us are viewing our reality through a skewed perspective because of the trauma that we've been dealing with, that we've absorbed from other people, indirectly, directly. So if we are conscious of that, if you're listening to this podcast, watching on YouTube, you are now conscious of the fact that you are dealing with generational trauma. I don't care if you came from the best family, you have some trauma that needs to be healed. It's inevitable, especially people of color, with all the genocide that we've been through.
Correct.
Okay, that's who I can relate to that. I know you have some things that has to be healed, and we have to continue to do them, and it's going to get better through generations. Don't expect to wake up tomorrow and all your problems gone. No, you work on yourself so that your children can understand that they got to work on themselves, and then their children's children, and their children's children, and their children's children. That's how we heal.
Like we let's think about it as a whole. We always talk as a community like, oh, the black race or the African Americans, they don't stick together. We don't stick together because we haven't done the proper internal healing to be able to stick together. Right. So, you know, platforms like ours and other platforms out there that speak this knowledge and speak this truth helps the people that's watching, the family that's watching out there, to realize that they have to heal first. Yeah. And then ultimately, what do you think that's going to do? It's going to heal us as a society, as a unity. A lot of people believe that, we're never going to get out of this situation we're in.
And that's actually a toxic thought.
And that is a very toxic thought.
To say we're never going to get better. Where did that come from? Who started telling you that?
So you're going to, and if you hold that thought pattern, you need to do some self-reflecting. Why do you feel like this? Why do you feel like it's never going to change? It's never going to look another way. And I tell anybody that comes in my area and says something like that, and I've had close friends to say it, I have distant friends to say it, I tell them, they're like, you're wrong. I bluntly tell them because now I understand why we're in this position. I understand why we're segregated the way we're segregated. So once you start understanding it's no one else's fault but yours. It's no one else's fault. You have to be accountable for it. You have to start doing the work. You have to get to yourself. You have to meditate. You have to start changing things in your life. That's hard. Yeah. The hardest thing to do in life is to change things about yourself.
Yeah. It's easy to say to do things, even for us. We can say this stuff all day long, but when it comes down to it, we are each other's support system because it be days where I be like, of course I ain't go back to meat, but this detoxing. But if we want to continue to see the change at the rate, the reason why we put detoxing with spirit, mind, and body together is because of the frequency and the way we are able to change our lives in an instant. We say it doesn't happen overnight, but we can guarantee that with adding food detox and cleansing the temple, we are able to make more calculated decisions, be more logical in the moment. So back to the topic of forgiving people, I will always say, look to forgive yourself first, because if you forgive yourself, you'll forgive yourself for being manipulated. You'll forgive yourself for being gullible. You'll forgive yourself for being whatever it was that put you in a position to be hurt. Or it might not have been, where you put yourself in a position. It could have been somebody was a perpetrator against you. You still have to forgive yourself for allowing yourself to feel shameful. Okay, because we have a lot of shame that follows, being sexually abused. And we become ashamed, and then we start to feel guilty, and that leads to depression, things like that. So you forgive yourself first. Forgive you. And then you will see that you can look your perspective, and you can look through the lenses of a more balanced perspective.
Yeah, how you expect. It's a lot of people that we talk to and deal with that say they can help everybody else, but they can't help themselves.
Yeah.
That's backwards.
Yeah.
And if you believe that you're helping somebody and you can't help yourself, you ain't helping them.
Yeah.
You ain't helping them. You ain't reaching your potential. Best believe that. So you have to, like you say, forgive yourself, man. I know me personally, I still have to forgive myself for the things that I've done, the situations that, like she said, have been perpetrated against me, that I feel that I might have been weak about or maybe insensitive about or anything of that nature that I have to put the blame on myself. I have to take that away. You have to take that away because that will be the next step for your healing process.
Exactly.
And that opens the door for something more.
It does. So, forgiveness always starts with self. You forgive yourself, you'll release a big burden. Once you release that burden, it start to fall in love with the process of finding what trauma. Why am I triggered? Where's the core of trauma? Fall in love with that process, the assessing the spirit process. And then as you move forward, as someone asked us, how do you get over fear? There's no such thing as get over fear.
You don't get over fear.
You don't get over it.
Fear is what the Creator, the Most High God, has given you as a tool.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you can't fear, even greed. You got all these different things. They are tools in your life because they cause for a reaction inside of you. And then those reactions teach you lessons about yourself, about things around you, about people. You have to use these things. So you don't never want to say, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to have this. No, when you have it, you need to realize where they're coming from, what's triggering it, why is this? Because I have fear all the time. And the things that I would say is fearful to me, I have to look at and be like, why am I fearful for this? This doesn't even make sense for me to be fearful for.
And then you might find some connected trauma.
Exactly, and exactly. You find the connection between why you're having this fear, why you're having this anxiety, why are you having this doubt. You find the connection, and then it's like, oh, wow, this is what. And 9 times out of 10, it stems from somewhere from childhood. It stems all the way back from childhood, and you carry that all the way to adulthood. So it's so many. It's
like a layered cake.
And you have to go through. You got to go into that graveyard of thoughts. You really have to, because it's so many things that are, what's the term, hidden away right now, because you basically tried to wash them away, or your mind just tried to put them into this dungeon, but it's there still, and it's still affecting you every day.
Absolutely. You suppressed it. You might have suppressed it, so you have to reevaluate my spirit. And that's why I say you have to fall in love with the process of assessing yourself, because we are in this life to become masters of self. You can't be trying to master your mama life, trying to master your daughter life, your auntie life, and you don't even have your self mastered. You know, you can't even go through a conflict without flipping off at the mouth.
And you know, I know that's hard. We parents, so to come into this knowledge after we've had three children, because now we in it and we have our fourth one. We are definitely more intellectual and understand the process more. But we were 3 children in, didn't know nothing. It was thinking we knew something, but didn't know nothing. And we felt bad. Once we really understood that we was slacking, that was one of the things we had to forgive ourselves for, because we did not know. That wasn't we had no control over that, but now we have control. And we're still dealing with the traumas that we had no control over. Mm-hmm. So as parents as well, and to all the other parents out there that's dealing with this and feeling like, man, I got to take care of my kid. We do have to take care of them. But you can't take care of them fully and be the best parents you could be unless you heal yourself. Yeah. They need to understand.
That might be 10 minutes a day. I understand everybody can't sit down or go away for a week from their children. It might not be permitted for you to do that. But if you could do 10 minutes a day of just focusing your energy on release for a whole month, every day I'm going to commit 10 minutes to releasing. That's going to be a beautiful thing for you.
Eventually, you're going to have to teach that child the same thing, because they're going to have traumas. If you think you had trauma, they're going to have traumas as well, because you passed some of it down too. Mm-hmm. Don't be on your high horse and think that you did everything right in life to the point that you think your children, grandchildren, whatever, just didn't get anything from you, no type of trauma. That's not a reality. You got to do the work so that you can show them that they're able to do the work. Be transparent with them. Be
transparent. And I think that's why a lot of us have resentment against our parents or authority figures. The lack
of transparency.
Because they just made it seem like everything is right and we didn't understand what we were doing. No, be transparent with your children. Let them know that fear and all these are normal. But as I want to say, as my last point, don't try to own the feeling of fear. Like you were saying, the Most High put those feelings here for us as tools, but we be trying to own it. Like, I'm going to be mad about this and ain't nobody going to change my mind. No, you want to feel it, assess the trigger, and release it. But we be wanting to hold on to the burden. We want to hold on to the pain, hold on to the anger, because this ain't going to tell me what. Let it go. Yeah. You ain't hurting nobody but yourself. Even if the person is mad, they still don't feel how you feel or feel what you feel. Yeah. So we have to understand that these emotions, fear, greed, trauma, all these things have been here before you were born and going to be here after you gone. Hey, so don't own it.
I did want to say, as far as forgiving people, whether it's family members, associates, whatever it may be, forgiving them doesn't mean that you got to be friends with them. Yeah, that don't mean that you have to be, hey, buddy, and
that's
smiling.
A word.
That's not. You just have to forgive them for the sake of your sanity and your healing process.
Yeah.
I would recommend, hey, you have a good attitude towards them. I wouldn't say have a bad attitude.
You don't want to be toxic.
Yeah, we don't want toxicity, but that don't mean that it has to be, I gotta be around you every day again. I gotta be in your presence. And that goes for anybody, whether it's your mother, your father, your brother, your aunt. It doesn't matter. You can forgive them for what has been transpired, and you can still move forward. And that's going to be their issue if they feel like it didn't mend how they wanted to mend. As long as you made true amends with it,
as long as yourself. You use effective, positive communication. You're not rolling your neck and pointing your fingers, being disrespectful. If you're using, just generally expressing yourself about your experience, there's nothing wrong with that.
And be genuine. Please be genuine, because we all know.
We get a little sarcastic.
Yeah, and we can read the genuineness. We know when people faking us and just trying to, say this, say that, just to brush it over. But be genuine about it. I would never recommend that anybody move forward with trying to heal and not being genuine about it and truly wanting to heal.
Wait until you are ready to have that conversation.
No rush.
I don't rush. Like, I haven't re-talked to my family since that 4 or 5 years ago, because I'm not ready, and they're not ready either. Now I'm starting to see them change based on with the changes I made in my life. But when I'm ready to be able to have that discussion, you have to be real with yourself too. I'm not ready to have that discussion and them reject it again. Correct. I'm not ready to have that discussion. If I move to a point where I'm ready to have that discussion and they reject it, I want to be able to say, okay, I agree with that, and I move forward. Because I don't know, I might be like, listen, you see what I went through and you see how it did for me. Why you didn't want to do that? That's not positive.
But you also have to understand, if you do go into something prematurely and you do get a rejection, now you got to go back to the drawing board and figure out why you still feeling rejected.
Yeah.
So that points, again, it's tools. That feeling going to tell you, okay, well, I ain't finished healing. I ain't fixing it. And some people just have to go through that. One thing about it, I don't believe it's no right and wrongs in life. You know, it's the duality. You have to have both for this world to run the way it run. That's why
we be imbalanced. We be all on the
that's that's why the Most High gave us that. So if you go through that, if you feeling that, man, just own it and continue to move through it.
Assess. That's our biggest word for 2020. Assess.
We definitely do a lot of assessing of ourselves this for real. Like moving into this year, we've done some major assessing. We started last year. We started 2019. We made some major changes in our life and our movements, and it just rolled over. And it's our lifestyle now.
To just assess. Like every time if you say something to me and you trigger me, I'm gonna be mad for that little moment, but I'm going down like, dang, where is that coming from? And that helps me reveal a lot of trauma. I be remembering stuff that I forgot all about. And that's how it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be like, oh, I don't want to be feeling like this. Yeah, you may feel like that in the moment, but after that has passed, assess what is it that caused this person or this event to trigger me like that. Start following the trigger. You're like, oh, I remember last year I had this happen. I had that same feeling. 10 years ago, I had this feeling. Then you 5 years old, oh my God, I remember when my mama first did this, it made me feel that way, and I never addressed it and got a chance to express. And
this is for all the brothers too. I always got to tell brothers, because my brothers are very, reluctant to take this type of advice. And it's not saying that you don't want it. I know you want it because I craved it. But it's like you don't know how to effectively use it. And these tools are a necessity for you to grow in this life, man. You got to use what that the Most High has given us to pass down. We take no credit for any knowledge that we have, any perspective that we have. It's been passed down, And
it's been pioneers in our life. We're gonna keep on assessing, keep healing our trauma. So because ultimately we're not looking at this like, okay, this is gonna make my life perfect. I'm saying no, my great grandbabies are gonna be okay. And if you're having a hard time, you're like, man, you talking about great grandbabies, I can't deal with that. That's too far. I need something right now. You may want to visit the idea that people that are traumatized cannot think long term. Okay, so we be trying to get the stuff to healing right now. When somebody come to me and they be like, I need to heal this right now because I can't deal with it anymore, I know that you're severely traumatized because you're only focusing on the right now.
And the society has tricked us all, man. And they want us with this popcorn lifestyle, from our health to our food. That's what they want us to believe, that everything can be healed in a snap of a finger. And that's not true. You got to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to continue on. And when you continue on, it is a beautiful rainbow on the other side for you. And
the journey is rough, but it's worth it. It's been worth it.
I truly think that, like, for me per se, I know that my longevity thinking is growing, because now I think 15 years ahead, 20 years ahead. I think about my grandchildren before they even here. My children are still children, so they ain't having no babies no time soon, but I think about them because I know that I'm here for them, and what I'm doing today, what we're building today is going to affect them.
And and what we don't build will affect them as well. If we decide to stop healing, we just say, whatever, my children, I'm grown, they're going to listen to me, they're going to do this. You got to realize those children going to grow up and do the same thing to their children. Their children going to grow up and do the same thing to their children. So this is how we break the generational trauma by acknowledging it and stop being lazy and do the work.
And create that new culture inside of your family structure, man.
Awesome. Structure. So this was episode number 10.
It's powerful, y'all. Episode number 10 was powerful out the gate, man.
Yes, talking about how do we forgive people that have offended us, or how do we move past the feeling of fear. So hopefully you guys liked it. Don't forget to check us out on all streaming platforms, SoundCloud, all of the above. Also follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Peace, love, and light, family. Talk to you soon.
See you later.